Hi, welcome to Paulito's Corner Botanica International. Again, we've been gone a while, really busy. I always say that, and I'm going to try to stop. Because if I'm not doing a video, then obviously you know that I didn't have time to do it, right? We're going to try to use more common sense in 2014 than we did in 2013, or anytime before that. I'm coming to you today just to give you a little bit of an update. Christmas. Most people have Christmas and doing things with family and friends and things like that. I was crossing the border with some family, and curious thing. Well, it shouldn't be too curious because as of today or yesterday, there are going to be drones flying over the United States now. So this is why I'm bringing you this, or I'm concerned, so to speak. Well, crossing the border, make a long story short, me and three other people in the car. By the time we get to where we can see the officer who check your passports and things like that, or your papers. I'm like Germany, but we are crossing the border, so I understand that, and that I have no problem with that. So, but this is where I do have a problem with it, and I'm going to come to that right now. Check everybody's ID. I did not drive. He checks the passenger, which was me, and the other passenger in the back, which was a little kid, and the driver. All right? And I'm obviously the only one he has a problem with. I had on a baseball cap and some shades. And he looks at me and he says, "Where are you going?" "We're going to the hospital, and then we're going to go home." "Where are you coming from?" "Tijuana." And I guess that's where things went a little wrong. "Where are you coming from?" "Tijuana." He needs to be more specific with some people, because with me, I'm telling you where I'm coming from. I'm crossing the border. But you didn't ask me where in Tijuana are you coming from, because it's obvious that I'm coming from Tijuana. So anyway, I think it's redundant. Maybe he thinks it's redundant. We all think differently. But that's not my job. His job is to find out some information, of course. And if I'm speaking English, giving him an American passport, therefore, obviously, I am not an illegal alien. So there, at that point, he should be looking for drugs. And, he did ask us, did we bring anything back from Mexico? And we all said no. We're not bringing anything back from Mexico. So he goes back in his little room, slide my thing, slide everybody's thing again, type something in the computer. I don't know what he was doing, but he took a long time. And he comes back to the window, lean over and says, "Take off your shades." So I look at him, because he was talking to me like I was his kid. I said, "Okay, I'll give him this one." So I took off my shades. He goes back into the room and does this little thing for a few more minutes. He comes back and says, "Take off your hat." And I said, whoa, you got a problem or something? You checking for drugs? You want to look at something in the car? You got another problem? Because guess what? I'm not taking off my hat. Because if I do that, the next thing you're going to want me to do is take off my shirt, or my shoes, or my belt, or you're going to want me to do something else that's totally asinine. And he says, "Well, I need to see your hairline." I just need to see my hairline. You have a piece of paper in your hand from the passenger in the back, and all it has on it is information and no photograph. And from my photograph on that thing, and from the way I have on my baseball cap, if you can't tell who I am, then you don't need to be working here, my friend. "Well, you need to take off your baseball cap." Well, I'm not going to do it. So we're at an impasse. So he goes back and he's typing up something, like he's trying to come up with something on my file or something, as if I was a criminal. So then he waits 5 more minutes, and then he writes us a little orange ticket. That means we have to go to the secondary. And okay, no, I got a problem with that. I have more time than I have money. So we go in there, secondary, and I guess, you drive and then somebody, they kind of guide you along and tell you where to park behind other cars. So you have like 3 cars in a line, and I guess the first car is the one they're checking, and then so on and so forth, all right? So we were like the last car. And in this position of the last car, we had a few officers come up and look at the slip and then look in the car and says, how come you didn't take off your hat? Is there a law? No, no. And he put it back. Another officer comes over, he looks at it, a hat. And he looks into the car and started laughing. And he puts it back. That means these are two officers, right, that come to give us the check in the secondary that found it to be bogus or funny, put it back because they didn't know how to check that or to classify that, so they put it back. And I guess a supervisor comes over after that and says, oh, you didn't want to take off your hat now, right? Before he ever read the slip. So that means these guys have talked and it's all over the place inside the little checkpoint. Secondary checkpoint. Because we went through one, now we're in a second. All for a hat. Okay. So the guy comes and now this one was a little bit reasonable. He looked at it. I said, if you were checking me in the first line, would you have telling me take off my hat? You can't tell who I am from that picture. He looked at it and he said, well, I know that officer, maybe you were a little bad with him. I was like, no, your officer was the one giving us the instruction or me the instruction to do this, do that, do this. And I just told him no.